Hey guys, James with Torches and Tactical, and if you've ever found yourself in a situation where you need a ton of output without having to carry around a ton of light, let me just tell you right now, the Imalent has you covered. This is the MS03, and this delivers up to 13,000 lumens. Yes, you heard that correct. 13,000 lumens of output, and all from something that is roughly 2/3 the size of my hand. Now to put it into perspective, this is 13,000 lumens. This is 1400 lumens. That's right, a little over 10% in something that is, again, about 2/3 the size. So let's get this out of the way. And before we get into comparisons and the specs and all that stuff, let me go ahead and show you guys the packaging, because I've always been impressed with Imalent's packaging. So this is the box that it came in, and they do give you a very nice sleeve. Now, I mean, just look at that blue. Has a little bit of iridescence or sheen, if you will. Lets you know exactly what you're getting into. The MS03, 13,000 lumens, and on the back you have, let me just get that back and forth for you guys. You have the back cover here that has a bunch of specifications, how to use it, everything that comes in it. And then, hold on, let me try something here. Let's go. Oh man, I'm glad that worked. Okay, so we have the box here, and to start off, if we look inside the box, congrats on your new Imalent MS03. Lets you know that they do have a battery insulator there, so if yours doesn't work, make sure to remove that little film. And this isn't the most dense microcell foam I've ever seen, but they do top it off with very, very nice, almost velour or like a fleece material. And there is an accessories box inside here as well. But inside that accessories box, they actually give you a holster. And I have tried the holster already, but I'll show you guys. Definitely looks like it's made for it. I don't know about you, but fits it very well and looks exactly like it's designed for it, as opposed to one of those generic holsters that sometimes you do get. But if we get the holster out of the way, now sitting inside that holster, you did have a couple spare O-rings, as well as a USB-A to USB-C charging cord, because this does have onboard USB-C charging, as well as an Imalent lanyard. So these are very, very thick, very well done, has the Imalent embroidered in it, so you always know which one goes with which, as opposed to, again, losing those generics that you have probably about 1,000 of now. You also do get a user manual, and this lets you know it is the tiny master flashlight. It's palm size, gives you all the light you could ever need, and this walks you through all the different specifications and runtimes in a multitude of languages, and how to get to each of the settings. So, that being said, let's get the box out of the way. And like I promised, let's get to those specifications. So now this will give you a maximum output of 13,000 lumens before it drops down to 2,000 lumens. So this will give you that 13,000 lumens for 45 seconds and then run at 2,000 lumens for an additional 70 minutes. That's right, over an hour, and it starts at 13,000 lumens. Or you can drop it down to high and you'll get a minute of 8,000 lumens, then dropping again to 2,000 lumens for 72 minutes, or your middle is 3,000 lumens for 1 hour 15 minutes. If you drop down a little bit lower, 1,300 lumens for 2 hours. Even lower, it does have 800 lumens for 3 hours and 40 minutes, or if you just need a little bit of light, you can go into your low mode, and that is 150 lumens and will run for 27 hours. And that is all thanks to the 4,000 milliamp hour 21700 cell that is included. Now, if this seems like a lot of light and this seems like a lot of battery, you don't have to fret. This does only come in at 119 grams, and that is with the battery included. Additionally, for the size, you do have a 36 millimeter head, followed by a 27 millimeter diameter body, and 110 millimeter length. So again, very pocketable, fits inside that holster, will fit inside your pocket. And if you do decide to use it in a pocket, you'll be glad to know that it does have a 4-click lockout, 1, 2, 3, 4. And that green indicator blinks here to let you know that it's not going to turn on while in your pocket. You can hit it 4 more times, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then you have your light back. And that 13,000 lumens does come from 3 XHP70 LEDs. Now this did come out in 2020, and these LEDs are still very, very relevant today, but this includes 3 of them. And so if you're doing the math, that averages to about 4,300 lumens per LED, which is nothing to scoff at. But with those short reflectors, they don't throw the best, but still do give you 324 meters of beam distance. And in candela, that comes to 26,320. But what's the point of having all that light and that small size if it's not going to be tough? This does have 1.5 meter impact resistance and is IPX8 water resistant to 2 meters or more. Now that we've gone over all the specifications, let's go ahead and take a look at this light. Now I'll bring it right up here so we can see everything about it. It does have a very, very large prominent E-switch. Now, I mean, if I'm being frank, this can feel a little bit loose at times. I wish there was a little bit, well, tell me, I'm going to bring it up to my microphone. Tell me if you can hear this. All right, so I do wish that had a little more spring behind it so it wouldn't sit here and play like that, but it feels very premium. It does look to be stainless steel, and the whole thing is quite well done. You know, you can see a very flat bezel. I wouldn't really call them crenulations, but you do have almost like a design choice over here, and it matches the rest of the design very well. You have a little bit of a straight, flat shot, followed by some cooling fins, and trust me, at 13,000 lumens, this does put out heat, so cooling fins are much, much needed. Now, it really does surprise me how they're able to fit the driver and the LEDs and the reflector and the bezel and everything in something that still fits a 21700 cell battery. It's kind of mind-boggling, but you can see the serial number here. These are all serialized, as well as letting you know that it does, again, get to be very, very hot. And with my testing, I can attest to the fact that yes, it does get incredibly warm. Now, as far as the battery tube goes, after it does step down off of that head, the battery tube does look, if I'm being perfectly frank again, a little generic. It does have just kind of standard knurling. It looks like something I would expect to see on almost either a Sofern or an older workhorse light. But on the back, you do see the MS03 13,000 lumens with Imalent, has a 35 amp 3.6 volt 2700 cell, and that knurling does give you a lot of grip for getting that battery out. So we unscrew this, and you do see that it is a 4,000 milliamp hour 14.4 watt hour cell. It does have onboard charging, and I'll grab a cord right now so you can see how that all works. Now I do have USB-C plugged in off camera a little bit, but if we plug in the cell, here you can see that you do have a red indicator. Let me bring this in so you can see it a little better. But you do have a red indicator, and this will change as soon as the battery is topped up. And then, unfortunately, it doesn't have on board, but you can just flop that battery back in. Now, me personally, when it does come to on-cell charging, I do like to have an extra one present. So that's something you may want to consider as well. But moving on from the battery, let's go to the business end of the flashlight. Now, again, you do see those 3 XHP70 LEDs with 3 conjoined and very short reflectors. Now, don't worry, I won't turn it on facing the camera, but that, like I said earlier, that is going to give you a lot of output. These short reflectors are going to spill the beam out quite a bit. Let me turn it on, that 150 lumens. So I'm roughly 5 inches above the table, and the spill comes out. I probably have a 15 plus inch spill, and that's at 5 inches above the table. So you know that this is going to flood, but since it does have those 3 reflectors, they are still going to shoot some of that light forward. That's how you get that 324 meters. And frankly, I love it because I'm a flood guy anyways. I prefer to lay out a complete wall of light as opposed to try and get a light out to, oh, I don't know, say 4,000 kilometers or something like that. I don't need a million candela if I just need to see something in front of me. The less narrow the beam, the more effective it is in my personal situation. But we can move on to the UI. Now, I did show you that it does have a 4-click lockout, and it is unlocked right now, but we can sit here and press the light, and it will go into whatever mode you had it last in. And from here, if you press and hold, it'll cycle through. Here's the 3rd, 4th, 5th. So that 5th mode is the high mode. Let me move back to it again. So this is 8,000 lumens, and if you do want to jump to that 13,000 lumens, just give it a quick double tap. There you go. That is 13,000 lumens. Oh, and yeah, it does definitely put out the heat. But one more click will shut it off from wherever you're at. But if you do a double click, then you do another double click, it will go to your strobe mode. So if you do ever need a strobe, you can get all 13,000 lumens to strobe out with just 4 simple and very quick presses of that button. Now this doesn't give you any secondary or alternate or auxiliary emitters, so you don't have to worry about changing channels or tint shift or anything like that. But really the only thing you have to worry about in the instance of the MS03 is just sheer heat coming off of this. It, again, is very, very warm. I mean, you guys saw I didn't have it on very long, but it is still incredibly warm to the touch. Now those cooling fins and the automatic temperature regulation do limit and step down, so you're not going to sit here and scald your skin or anything like that, but it is something to note. So fortunately for you guys, I do have another light that puts out 13,000 lumens. And what I want to do is I want to compare that as far as the exterior dimensions, and then we'll get them both out. Well, here, let me just get the light for you. So this is the Workos TS32, and don't worry, we will have a full review on this coming up very soon. But the Workos TS32, instead of just those 3 emitters, you do have, well, let's count them with me. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. You have 12 519As and 1 SFT40 emitter. And this is going to give you, again, 13,000 lumens. But we all know that SFT40 is really well designed for throw. So this gets quite a bit more than just that 324 meters. But, I mean, look at the size comparison. This is more apt to a soda can light name, where this really could be an EDC or pocket carry. I'm never going to carry the TS32 in my pocket, especially with that handle. I feel like that's a bad day waiting to happen. But you can see quite a bit different dimensionally. This is smaller in every facet. It does have less LEDs, but each of these LEDs puts out quite a bit more power than each of these. And I mean, it's all going to come down really to, do you want a soda can light that will get you a mix of your flood and throw? Because these 519As are going to give you a lot of flood and a very neutral tint, while the SFT40 gives you a lot of throw. This, however, kind of mixes the two, but we'll show you that here in just a second, because now what I want to do is I want to take the TS32 from Workos and the Imalent MS03. We're going to take them outside so you guys can see just how 13,000 lumens from 3 XHP70 LEDs versus the 13 emitters, averaging out to 1,000 lumens each, but the 13 emitters from the TS32, how they compare. Then we'll come back inside and I will tell you guys a few of my ins, outs, ups, downs, lefts, right, good, bad, uglies about the Imalent MS03. So let's get out there. All right, guys, so we have the Imalent MS03, and I'm going to start at the load mode and work all the way up. And once I hit 8,000 lumens, I'll double tap the turbo, and we'll hit 13,000 lumens. This is 13,000 lumens with the Imalent MS03. And for comparison, we have the Workos TS32. Now this does have 2 different modes, so I'll go through each one independently and then I'll do both. This is just the center SFT40, and if I double tap, it'll turbo. So this is just the SFT40 in the center. Let's go ahead and shut that off. And this is just the 519A emitters on the outside, all 12 of them. This is turbo with that. Now if we throw on the SFT40 as well, this is 13,000 lumens with the Workos TS32. All right, guys, let's head back inside. All right, guys, we came, we saw, we conquered. We put up the TS32 versus the Imalent MS03, and I gotta say that if we're just running the 519As on the TS32, the beam pattern does look eerily similar to the MS03. However, this is a much cooler white than those 519s, but a lot of it's going to come down to if you want that full 13,000 lumens from the TS32, you're going to have to activate that center SFT40 as well. So if you want a more frankly convoluted user interface and have to deal with 2 buttons to switch between 12 519As and one SFT40, or if you want the simplicity of literally 2 button presses to get a complete boatload of light, the MS03 may be for you. Now, if we get this out of the way, I will sit here and tell you all day long that I love this light. I mean, I don't know how else to put it. It is so incredibly compact, and if you need just a ton of output, especially with a holster where once you're done with it, you don't have to sit here and hold that hot, hot light. But being able to get 13,000 lumens out of such a small form factor is incredibly not only impressive, but useful. I love having as much as I can without carrying as much as I can. Now, call me the ultimate lazy flashlight enthusiast, if you will. But this kind of gives you the best of both worlds. You get an absolute gob of output, and you get it in such a small form factor that it makes it entry level for anybody, but it is still incredibly powerful for a more enthusiast-minded person. So the Imalent MS03 is available on the Imalent Store's website, and I'll have a link down below so you guys can check that out for yourself. And I will include a coupon code down below as well, so you guys can save a little bit when you decide to buy the Imalent MS03 for yourselves. So guys, that's all I have for you today. The MS03, seriously, go down to the link below and check it out. It's an amazing light. I'm very, very thankful that they were willing to send this out to me so I could show you guys exactly what I thought of it. And as far as the content goes, make sure you like, share, and subscribe our videos. It does help us in the algorithm, and we're able to get more of these lights so we can show you exactly what real output looks like. So again, make sure to like, share, and subscribe, and click that bell notification too, so you guys can get notified on our next video. Thank you so much for being with me, and we'll see you in the next one.